every production that I did in my life had a unique assortment of teams, and the tasks and how it was delivered was different every time. I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even say UK is like this, and Germany is like that, and Switzerland is like that, and Saudi is like that, or UAE is like that. As long as you have an issue, you're all trying to find the solution, or to do the very best, or at least, let's put it like that, you show a reaction, whatever the reaction is. And if that is not happening anymore and everything is fine, people start getting bored and finding issues that are not really existing. Running rehearsals as a stage manager for circus productions is nerve-wracking, I feel. I think it's something that I never get used to, and I always need to hide, but I freak out.
Welcome to the Theatre Our Life podcast. Today I'm joined by Sophie Zimmermann. She shares with us about her experiences as stage manager, stage carpenter, and more. With global experience in theatre, festivals, event management, and stage production, Sophie is a seasoned professional known for delivering stunning experiences. She brings a unique blend of creativity, technical knowledge, and organizational skills to her tasks. Currently managing historical Saudi Arabian props in Riyadh, she toured as a stage manager with Helene Fischer through Germany, Switzerland, and Austria last year. In addition to numerous events, shows, and productions, her role as the leading venue duty manager for the iconic Wasl Plaza during Expo 2020 in Dubai was one of the biggest milestones in her professional life. Sophie ran away with multiple circuses and is known for her constant positive thinking. Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
So good to
That's
hear
me.
you.
Long time.
But let's do a little catch up while we share with others some of the lessons of your life and your path through the industry. So I don't think I even know, how do you get started?
How did I get started? So I was dancing when I was younger, in a little theater in Germany. So they had something they called extra ballet, because the original ballet was only 5 people. And to get bigger production, better staffed, we were casted as an extra ballet and basically working for the theater as well. So we did a lot of shows like West Side Story, Little Prince, things like that, where we were just like the ensemble, I would say. And I was very much in love with the props workshop those days. It was next to the stage. The people there were very friendly. So it was always fun. After the show, before the show, I would like usually be there and do my warm up there while everyone else was in the ballet room. It was very fun. And that's where I learned the first things, first tools for later on. Finished school in that city, but then I went into tourism. So I worked for hotels in Spain for 8 years until I finally made it into the theater. And in Spain, I had a guest who said, like, yeah, you would be a good stage manager. Don't you want to come over? And I'm like, I have no idea what a stage manager does. Literally no idea. Said, like, yeah, don't you worry. It's just a work placement. It's 6 weeks. So I did the German version of Mamma Mia in Essen as a stage manager in the rehearsal period, and got trusted by the director to do rehearsals with them and to preset rehearsal stages and all these things. And I know until today that there was 2 chairs. One was number 12, the other was number 14. Both of them have a handbag. Random stuff that does not leave your brain at one point. No, it was like Mamma Mia. I don't know who did Mamma Mia, but Mamma Mia has a huge assortment of white and blue chairs that are all special, and it needs to be the right chair and the right scene. So the path, all those, I think in my days it was 25 chairs. I'm not sure how many it is now. But the path that each of those 25 chairs would take through the show needed to be documented. So that was quite a puzzle. And then it was rehearsal, and as well, like the designer just comes in the middle of the show and is like, "Oh, let's exchange those two chairs," and you're like, "No, you just finished my documentation."
I
Yeah,
can only
that's how it got
remember
started.
the 2 or 3 chairs by the table when they're in like the house, and then the many chairs for the wedding.
Exactly, they are all. But then in the Dynamo room there was two, I believe. In the beginning, there's a couple ones. Voulez-vous had a lot of chairs and tables that were just behind the house and just walking for long time ago.
I don't remember as much, but I was not backstage. I was in the grid or catwalks.
It was my first experience. It was so great. I love remembering that. I remember when I heard the first, like, that was also my first time hearing a show caller. And it's so funny if you think about it right now. But the lighting operator was called Alex. And when I heard the first show call, I said like, "Oh, they're very nice. They're saying like the name, like Alex 5 goes, like Alex remembers number 5." um, yeah,
I was just handy.
it's like me. It's like Cuba. Things to get used to.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, that's how it all started. And yeah, a couple of years I called myself. A couple of years later, I called myself in 3 languages. No, it was 2 languages at the same time, because the lighting operator would only understand English and the automation operator would only understand German. Um, I still doubt that they wouldn't have understood each other's numbers, but no, they refused. Yeah, and that's how I became a stage manager.
That's funny. The origin story. So you train mostly and you start working in Europe and in Germany specifically, and then moved to the Middle East.
No, I did some stops in between. So I worked mainly in Germany. I did some stage management school in London. And I picked some shows up in London. And then my next country was Switzerland in between. So I moved to Switzerland and brought in a piece there, and then started touring in Germany. And after that, I became a production stage manager for various shows. And one of the last ones in Germany was Appassionata, which is a horse show that actually blew my mind. But also, I think, opened the door for all the circus productions, because that was also the first acrobatic show I called. So I learned a lot in this opening about the needs of horses and the needs of acrobats. Very different, very different. Horses and acrobats, very different genres. Um,
I bet.
I'm still amazed how beautiful the picture is of all of them together. But in general, every horse is spooked by an acrobat, and every acrobat is spooked by a horse, more or less, um, due to their own qualifications. Yeah, and I think that like the ability to be able to call circus acts brought me then to Dubai, to La Pearl, which just opened when I joined.
So could you describe a little bit, or how different is it to work in Germany and Switzerland, in London, and then in the Middle East or internationally? Like I feel like German scene and the Swiss scene to an extent are very particular, and then London has its own way of doing things, a little bit more similar to the US, but still different.
It still is a very enjoyable ride. And What I learned in all those years is that you can't really put a system of comparison over it. It's so different. It's so different. The um, the whole names of professions in the musical theater are completely different in Germany than they are in the UK. With different tasks, with different assignments of things. Like as a German stage manager, you don't touch props. Well, you touch them for rehearsals or whatever. Like, but the whole props preset research and all these things is a complete different department in Germany. So it's not stage carpentry and it's not stage management. Like there's another department. And then also moving in between genres, like just talking about the horse show, then all of a sudden you have a new department, which is like the horse girls that are just there to hold the horses backstage. Um, then if you're working an ice show, you all of a sudden have like a whole ice team, which is taking care of the ice. La Pearl with the diving, then you have the divers and the whole aquatics team that is also part of the game. And therefore, I think every production that I did in my life had a unique assortment of teams, and the tasks and how it was delivered was different every time. I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even say UK is like this and Germany is like that and Switzerland is like that and Saudi is like that or UAE is like that. So in London, I did a work placement and Dirty Dancing in Billy Elliot and Wicked, and all of the three houses were completely different. As far like I spent 2 weeks in each. Dirty Dancing a little bit longer because that was the production that I took back to Germany, but um, they were all functioning completely differently. Like in Dirty Dancing, you're as a stage manager, as an ASM, you're part of the cast. Like you're going on stage in that production and cleaning everything away, um, bringing props on stage, off stage. You're in costume, so you're acting like an actor. Like it was complete different world, and then you go more to Wicked, which is more traditional, where everyone is like black mask, so you're not being seen, and all of the magic happens magically and not being seen. And then going from there to Billy Elliot, which was for me coming in there as a foreigner, just like a big family, because you have the little kids, and then you have one of the ensemble who's warming up the kids. Then you have the singers that are not doing the dancing warm up, and like that was like a complete different vibe as well. And then you're going back to Germany where you have like, as a stage manager, you don't really deal with the kids because they have their own chaperones who are doing everything. You communicate with the technical department, but also as a stage manager, you're not really responsible in Germany for technical belongings if it's not really touching the arts, if you say so, right? Um, and in the Middle East, I have the feeling it's really depending production to production. Like I did productions as stage manager where I was responsible for building the whole stage and tearing down the whole stage and then being the stage manager. But I also did shows as a show caller with exactly 5 cues throughout the whole day that were given to me by the producer. So no, um, so it's yeah, it's hard to come. Like at the beginning, I always thought like, oh, there must be some kind of structure, and I was like, I was challenged a lot about finding my place in various productions or what is my responsibility. And I think now I enjoy finding a new system for whatever production I'm doing, and finding what is best for the production. And since then, it's really fun. It's really enjoyable.
Nice. Because also, well, the team has different skill set. You won't have the same, let's say, carpenter from show A to show B, and maybe they can do slightly different things, or they enjoy doing slightly different things.
Yeah, I wish I could take them all and have the.
All the
I know I have
carpenters you
some.
work with?
all the carpenters I've ever worked with, I want to work again with.
Oh, I wish I could say the
No,
same.
I guess I do. It's not even a lie. So I think it's a little bit too, no, to clarify, no, I'm not best friends with everyone that I worked with. Totally fair. And please tell me whoever achieved that goal. I want to learn. But no, I'm not best friends with I'm not best friends with everyone, but I did not work one production with a team where I didn't learn anything. So, however our relationship was at work, I remember it for one reason, for some reason, and it might just be the super tiniest thing of how to pack a case or how to arrange this and that, or also sometimes how to back off of situations and say like, look, let's go, let's have a cigarette. We'll find a solution another time because we're both not happy with whatever we did. Um, so I must say, with all the people that I worked with in these last years, I'm like, no, there's not none that didn't give me anything on the way.
But then
So yes,
you
I'd
take
love to have
them.
them all.
You still have them all then. If you keep all the lessons.
I try to. I try to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice.
No, I think that's one of the beauty. I listened a little bit in the podcast, and I think one of the questions that you frequently ask is like, what is the beauty about your job or about entertainment or right? And I think for me, the beauty is really that you are constant on your toes. Like you're always learning. It's not that there's not one day that I can remember. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I have the wrong projects. Like, I don't know. But there's not one day that I remember that I get up, go to work, and everything happened like I planned it. Never, ever. It's like, if we make it up to 60, 70%, it was a very good day. It's like, and
Oh
then,
boy. I do enjoy a good
yeah,
plan though.
yeah, but yeah, it would be nice. It's rare. And I think, but on the other hand, being that much in the Middle East, like never ever something is here like you expect it. It's like I think my favorite picture came from a production last year where I got a picture from my technical director who said like, okay, I don't have walls, but I have a roof, so I'm bringing up the rig. I'm like, okay, let's do it open air then. The walls will come and everything will be fine, which it was at the end. But yeah, nothing is as expected. Of course, in that production, we expected to move into a finished theater and not expect to do a creation rehearsal while everyone else was building a theater basically around us. So a lot of surprises. You never knew what you get. Never.
You never know. It's certainly surprises.
Always.
Many are good
But I
though.
think yeah, that's one of the beauty. Like as often as I complain about it and say like, oh, can I please have a quiet day? Can please nothing happen today? As much as I enjoy it, to be super honest. That stays in between us.
And everyone else listening.
Exactly.
That's nice. But yeah, surprises and just being a. I think when you have a project in a good team, like a team that you can get on with, not and you take those surprises and then just laugh about it or do the best you can, and it ends up being good anyway.
When I was still working in tourism, I had a very, very good boss. It took me a while until I understood what he was doing because very often I was very grumpy on him, of him or about him, whatever the word is. Like I disagreed gracefully with whatever he tried to tell me, but he would say as long as people have problems, they function as a team. Because as long as you have an issue, you're all trying to find the solution or to do the very best, or at least let's put it like that, you show a reaction, whatever the reaction is. And if that is not happening anymore and everything is fine, people start getting bored and finding issues that are not really existing. So whenever we had dramas, and like we were so young, like 18, 19, our teams, like we team leaders were like 20, 21, and the teams were 18. We wanted to have fun. It was Spain. Of course, there was not a lot of responsibility all the time, which is fine. That's what we do when we work in hotels. But he would always say, if your team gets bored, you got to find them a task or a problem. Get them something new to do, nothing annoying, and you'll be good. And we did that a couple of seasons. And I remember that when I was doing long runs, like the first 3 months until you rehearsed all your understudies, the whole crew is one team and it's great. And then when you're sitting in those long run shows and you conquer show 300, 400, 500, then every problem already exists. Like there's a solution for everything already. And that's when I feel it gets tricky with people, or when people get annoyed on each other. And I think that's also part why I like touring, because it's not happening in touring usually. Or it does, but less, because you change environment, so you always have a little bit of excitement.
Well, I always appreciated when you're on a resident show, two things. In props and carpentry, you can always make something better. Always, always. I appreciate that. And then the fact that acrobats keep working on their skills and their things, and they try new things. And therefore, it keeps you on your toes as well. Because you have to see how that progression, or how that new trick, or how that new act, or whatever fits into the bigger picture.
I think that's a big difference between circus and musical theater, or classical theater, or repertoire theater.
Yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely agreed. When you're working with artists, it's you always have training. You see their daily not behavior, their daily feelings. You see how different they react when they have different times in a year, how happy they are. I feel in circus shows you're more on your tip of the toes than you are, let's say, in a Broadway show, like a Disney show, where literally every step is choreographed. There is no freedom. There's
Yeah, no,
for
yeah,
yeah.
it's true. It is what it is.
Um,
Like, you have to do the scene the way it is every time.
and then props and scenery. I think it doesn't matter in which environment you are, and even if it's like only 3 shows to go before the show closes, always make something better. Yeah,
Yeah, you can always.
absolutely agreed. It's like, and I heard that sentence very often, that people would say like, yeah, it's just one more week. You don't need to do this. It's like, no, it's one more week. We do it. It's going to be nice for the last couple of shows. I don't mind if we're closing in 2 days. Yeah, that should be.
So you mentioned something that I was kind of on my notes, but I thought, and I think we've talked about it a little bit more so than the scene being different from place to place, the theater or live entertainment scene, but how much it also changes from, yes, production to production, which always makes me giggle when someone tells me, oh, but that's a TD job. I was like, in your production, maybe. But also from genre to genre, like musicals to circus to events to corporate to large scale events. Like I think all of this adapt in a different way, react in a different way, and they're all the same but different kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good question. that's also a very difficult question. Um, I think a constant job is the calling stage manager. I think it doesn't, like, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what you do. If you do a conference, a corporate, a concert, musical event, whatever it is, you always say "Geo" and something is moving or not, but in theory it's moving. Um, um, so I think this position stays more or less the same. I find it more interesting that there is big productions that do not understand why they need a show call. Like, for me, this voice in my ear is like literally bringing me through all the show, and I think it's so important that this person has a sense of humor, has a nice tone, like a not nice voice, but also someone with a natural authority. I think is so much of sitting there honestly and calm everyone the fuck down, whatever happens, and leading that whole team of people into one show or one event. I think this is very, very underestimated. And honestly, when I'm on productions where they think they don't need a show caller, I'm usually very pissed, and usually say at least 3 times a day, well, that would be a show caller job, isn't it? Who's calling that? Who's telling me that this is moving? Um, yeah, so that one I think is a very constant one. And the other very constant one, but depends also very much on the mental, on the social skill set, is the technical director. So there's always someone who makes the plan and sorts it out how it gets built. I think differences are huge between technical directors. There's some that are amazing communicators, amazing bosses, and others that are very much incredible in technical knowledge, but therefore lack a little bit to be able to communicate that technical knowledge so that everyone else can digest it in the right timing. So that varies. But I think, yeah, those two positions are the same, whatever you do. But then it gets really tricky.
Yes and no. I think the core is, but then there's a lot of things that might be added or not. Like, for example, I know productions that props are run by the stage manager that you said, or maybe not touched by the show caller, but at the end of the day, stage management. And there's productions where a stage manager will never ever touch prop. I also think, and I was going to bring it up, that it has to do, and I don't know what your idea on this is, that also depends on the stage of the production. It's not the same, the role of a certain person if you're in pre-production, in creation, if you're in a, as we said, like a resident show or a touring show, if it's a five show run or if it's a forever 5-year run.
When I'm working purely as a stage manager, I love the time in the rehearsal stage. That has like something very intimate, and for me, that gives a lot of moments that nobody else will ever see. Like all those songs or emotional scenes that you see, just being there with a piano, and very limited furniture and set, because it's all rehearsal stuff, is for me as a stage manager the most beautiful moments in a rehearsal process. And I remember very often that I was standing on stage, the orchestra came with it, all the set came with it, and all the razzle dazzle, and I'm like, I lost the number now. I'm so sorry, but it's not my favorite anymore, because it's not, it lost the, I don't know, I've always been too less artistic to being able to articulate that, but there is a magic of a rehearsal room. Funnily, when I'm producing or doing site management or venue management, I absolutely do not care about rehearsals. It's like, please come to my venue, know what you do, tell me what you're doing when, and just do it. I don't need you, like, I don't want you to try 70, 50, 75 different entrances. Just do what you prepped somewhere else with somebody else. Because well, if you're then in the bigger picture and you need to get securities and ushers right and all the shebang that comes all of a sudden when you put something on stage, and you're more in a producing production which is not as artistic as a stage manager, all of a sudden this whole magic is not existing anymore. It's more about like, okay, they're rehearsing tick. But very often, especially in Expo and all those nights, you had like another rehearsal every night. Every night somebody was rehearsing something, all kind of things. And all you would do on your box is like rehearsal tick. And sometimes I was like, but there were so many other things to do, so it was not the priority all of a sudden anymore because the job title shifted, and sometimes that felt very strange because you were not part of it. And then on other days you were like, I remember Black Eyed Peas, which I thought are like not doing any performances anymore. Like again, that's a band when I felt very young. When I was way younger, I was dancing to it and I kind of like, I really liked it. And then when they came for a concert, I'm like, really? They're still existing? But to be honest, their rehearsal and their sound check brought us through the night because they gave so much fun. They gave credits to all the people that were working at night and said like, look guys, we're playing now half an hour just for you guys. We know you can't be to the concert tomorrow. So we're just playing tonight for everyone working here in the venue because we see what you do. And then it again becomes a different taste of rehearsals. If you say so, like a different and another shape, like you're not really part of the rehearsal, but on the other hand, you feel acknowledged and see like, oh, somebody is performing that acknowledges everything around them. So that's a different feel as well.
That was so nice of them.
That was an amazing night. It was really cool. It was really nice. And then running rehearsals as a stage manager for circus productions is nerve-wracking, I feel. Like, I think it's something that I never get used to, and I always need to hide. But I freak out when I see some when artists rehearse and something goes wrong, or they're just playing around, and you think like, oh yeah, I pull you now 4 meters underneath the roof, and all you do is just playing around because you can. Like, it's not. I'm not talking about unsafe procedures because they're just having fun with their apparatuses. But for someone who's not hanging in a hoop every day on 6 meters like me, and this is crazy sometimes. Like, I remember La Pearl, and everyone who did that act is still making jokes of me. I just met them a couple of weeks ago. But whenever we were rehearsing the bungee straps act, I'm like, no. This was like a heartbeat on 160. And even watching the show, same. It's like, okay, are they all unknotted? Yeah, they're all okay. They're all safe. Are they on their point? Everyone's still okay. Even now, so much time after I called the shows, like 5 years, 6 years, something like this. A long time. Even now I'm sitting in the audience and I'm still there like, okay, yeah, clear, go.
It's funny. I haven't seen that show or that act in a long time either. That was probably one of my favorite acts. And I think that if I were to sit down in the house, I would do exactly it. I don't find it very nerve-wracking to watch because I love it. I think it's great. But I'll probably just look up, look down, check on every single one of them, see if they're ready.
Yeah, it's more because, in a show, artists are functioning different. There's a different focus. in rehearsals, sometimes, well, if it's validations, yes, but if it's just trainings, no. And then all the PMAT trainings and everything about the show and everything that could go wrong, I'm like, please, just do rehearsals. No, like, yeah, crazy acts, rehearsing crazy acts is something that is weird. But actually, the question was how different our roles. See, I can't tell. I don't have an answer, to be honest. I think the show caller is the steady inside, and all the sparkle around has a different color in every production.
And now a note from our sponsor. The Theatre Art Live podcast is proud to be sponsored by Clearcom. Clearcom is the leader in voice communications for theatre and the performing arts. Call your cues with the simplicity and elegance of Clearcom Intercom solutions. You can find them at clearcom.com. Go check them out.
And because you were talking about circus, but I think we were talking mostly about contemporary circus from what we were saying, but you've also worked in very traditional circus.
Very different.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let me put it in right words. So I came in, and the first thing the helpers, like the tent helpers, would say to me is like, yeah, the washing machine is over there, but they don't have costumes at the moment. And I'm like, no, I'm here to organize backstage. And like I was there as a production stage manager. So I'm not here to do laundry, to be honest. Like, I have a flat with a washing machine, it's fine. Okay. And then they tried to explain me about the ticketing. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do tickets in that show. And that's so I was working for a Swiss traditional circus, and Switzerland, from all the European countries, is the country that evolved a little bit slower than the other countries. Let's put it like that. And for especially those traditional circus people, having a woman doing a technical job is mind blowing. Is not. It was in those days not in their brain, not in their mind. It's not what they were used to. But also they're growing up in those families. Like in Zurich, there's a street called Circus Street, and that's where they live and have all their wagons. Well, after we stumbled over this, I had so many questions that I was used to ask as a production stage manager. Like, can I have the cut drawing? How much weight can we put on the truss and things like that? And they would always say, like, look, this is the tent master. He knows how to build a tent, and everything that you want to hang, you ask him. And I'm like, yeah, what's his judgment then? And they say, like, he knows, he learns from his father, and he learns from his father, and that's what it is. And fascinating, they were absolutely right. The artists that I worked with, and again, very specialized, like in the show that I worked with, I don't want to generalize it because it's very different, but they wouldn't do a training like we're used in modern circus. Like, there was a handstand guy I've never seen train, but he was strong as hell. I've never seen him train. Then there was a giant, a strong man. He would travel with his own weight bar. I've never seen something like that. Must have been out of the 60s, 70s, with his old plates, super rusty. He would lay down there every day, 10 minutes, and that's it. They wouldn't warm up in a way that we know it, but it's also very traditional. They would take care of their own artistic apparatuses. So there was a girl doing silk and hoop, and she would always have her apparatuses in her wardrobe next to her and bring it and hang it. Yeah, it was a very, very interesting, like, there was a lot of things. I've never seen a winch like that they showed me. I'm like, well, how is that even functioning? I learned how to how to stretch a high wire, like the balance wires where they do, and what to take care of and how to yank it and how they communicate with each other. That was very interesting to me because it's all like that circus was all about feeling, and we came in as foreigners. It was very interesting time. But I worked a lot with Swiss Circus, also with smaller companies. Later on, like during pandemic, I started a circus camp in Basel, which is still there. I supported Young Stage a little bit, who is looking for new circus talents every year and putting up a stunning show, and met a lot of little circuses. I think Mario Mundweiler had been in your podcast as well, a juggler, like his circus company as well. So I met all those people, and I love the creativity. I remember I saw a company in Switzerland that was also traveling through Switzerland. I lost the name, but it was a porter and a flyer, and they did a full 90-minute shows, just the two of them. And that was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It was so simple. It was so simple, but so good.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of creativity, I would say, and the traditional circuses in a very different approach and a very different way than the modern circuses do. And I quite enjoy it because I feel, again, like we talked earlier, sorry, I shouldn't say that. No, we talked earlier a little bit about getting older, and
It's fine.
I
That
must
was going to
say,
be my next question.
I really enjoy, like when I'm watching a concert, a piece, whatever it is, a circus, I really enjoy when it is technically reduced. I am not impressed anymore by, well, not impressed anymore is wrong, but I enjoy a performance way more when it's pure, when I can trust the actor, or when the actor is trusted to hold the energy over the evening, and I'm not getting distracted by LED walls flickering, a moving light not finding its position, or anything else. So yeah, when I go watching something, you usually find me seeing the Baskerman somewhere playing with nothing and just his guitar, or like a small nice production. Yeah.
Yeah, for what's worth, when I go see most any production, I call it doing my homework, which I enjoy, and I do it willingly, and I go and see what's happening. When I'm really tired, I need a moment to myself, and I want to go and purely know that I'm going to enjoy something. I go listen to a symphonic orchestra or quartet or just pure music. I know there's going to be 2 mics hanging from the ceiling, work lights or music stand lights, and that's it. It's me and music.
And it's amazing, no? Yeah. Yeah.
It's my favorite. Like if I'm going to pay crazy money to go see something, it's going to be an orchestra.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Good orchestra is stunning. It's very much stunning.
And
I'll join you whenever you go.
Close to zero tech and nothing to distract me, I guess, other than what I'm there for. I'll let you know.
Good.
So let me ask that question again, or like let's go since you brought it up. So how does it feel to be a veteran in the industry?
I see you giggling. I was just like, so me just being 29 since ever. No, no, it took me a while. I enjoy getting old. I really enjoy it. I don't feel like a veteran, and I think reason for that being is that I'm like, I found my own niche. Like when I'm working, I'm usually working on productions where the field or the task is not really clear, but they hire me for me being me. And I'm very grateful that that keeps on happening more often, or that it keeps on happening, that people are saying like, yeah, I can't really tell you what your job will be. There's a couple of things where I want you to be responsible for. But we like you to work with us. And like that's absolutely something very positive, and that I'm very humble and very grateful about. That people trusting me and my energy and whatever the skill set is they see in me, in fulfilling it. Other than that, I think I enjoy being way more calmer than I've been in the younger years. I remember when I would production stage manage musical productions, I needed to know everything. I needed to know with which hand, which technician put the sword into the track. And now I'm like, yeah, just give me clear when you're done. and that's that makes productions way more enjoyable, because you're not, or I am not, super control freak anymore. There is still particular things where I'm picky, and I usually can pronounce it or can announce it. I'm like, I can tell a team is like, look, I'm super annoyed about that, or I'm super picky about a certain topic. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing personal. That's just a tick that I have. Here it is. I'm an open book. That's my tick. Just let me be. It's fine. And I think that's also something that comes with age or with grace, that you learn to accept yourself better and like smile about your own ticks and about your own madness. I know I can drive people crazy because I just can't do left and right. And then working with multiple nations that are all having a different left and right when it comes to stages, like stage right, stage left, links, rechts. Then I think in France it's street and garden and all those sides. Like, I'm not joking. Like I'm not trying to confuse everyone, but I really cannot do left and right. Like I need to look at my hand to know where the left hand is, and then I translate it and whatever it is. And especially like touring productions, when you have like all the set once on the left and once off the right. It sometimes happens that I start building the right side of the set on the left because I simply can't do it. And I know a lot of people are very annoyed that they need to tell me every now and then. And I'm very ashamed when I did mistakes like that. But it's also me. So you pay a crate of beer and it's fine. And I think, yeah, the older I get, the more relaxed I get about it. It's like, yeah, I did some bullshit. It's not that I don't care, but it now happened. So how can we go with it? That's also something that I enjoy very much. And the other thing is also like seeing the next generation coming in, working with work placements. I got the opportunity to work with Charge Performing Academy together and seeing young students and their approach on the whole entertainment industry, which I think is great. I love seeing that. And yeah, I hope I have another couple years maybe in this thing, and maybe we should have that conversation in 20 years from now.
Oh
Then
boy,
we're really
20.
old. For now, we're just like, which is good tasting chocolate right now. But later on, we're old. Cheese. We need to be we need to be like cheese. So if you have very young cheese, it's like if the cheese is young, it's young, but it does not have any spices. No, and then you go in the middle and you find the correct cheesiness that you like. And then when it gets older, the taste gets really strong. So you either like it or you hate it. So I think we are both middle pieces.
I'll let that sink in. But you definitely threw me.
True in it.
You definitely threw me out of my thought train when you said 20 years from now. I was like, whoa. Oh, that went far too fast. But yeah, sure, let's have this conversation in 20 years from now. I like that. Yeah, I'm down.
And I think it will be very different because, like, I hope when I can wish for something, I hope in 20 years we're sitting here reverse and saying, like, oh yeah, I learned something brand new today. That'll be
Totally.
the goal.
I hope so. And yeah, no, I'm sure we will. Knowing us and knowing the world, the industry, and everything, I think we would be in a very bad shape if we don't keep learning every day. Yeah. Well, I don't know, because most of what you've told us about and what you've been talking about is about your stage management career, or PSM, or on those lines, more production stage management. But you've done a fair bit of carpentry and props, and I wanted to see how that fits in the story and what is there to know.
I transitioned. I came to a point. People who know me know that I'm talking like that, and I don't mean it disrespectful, but I couldn't be bothered anymore. I couldn't deal with individual problems anymore. And I found myself as a stage manager in a point where I just felt that all the discussions, problem solving on a social path just overwhelmed me. And very, very various layers. It's like some things were given from the company that we as stage managers were supposed to do. And another thing that I'm famous for is for bending rules, like rules that does not make sense. Like I have troubles with keeping rules. And especially rules that do not make sense to me. I have troubles keeping them. And then when I'm asked to enforce rules that don't make sense, which is part of the stage management gig, I really have troubles with that job. And also, I feel guilty when everyone is working in load-ins and loadouts, and I'm basically just sitting around. And so I transitioned. I said, like, no, I think I'm good as a carpenter, and I want to try. And like now, usually, if I can, I prefer taking a carpenter, props, technical production job before a stage management job. And for a long while, I thought I can only do the one or the other. And when I was doing carpenter jobs, I would always excuse myself and say, like, sorry, is my stage manager mine? Please stop me when I'm thinking too much in the show. But again, I don't think I need to decide for the one or the other. The only thing that I shouldn't do, or that I think is not really helpful, is doing both at the same time. But in some productions, I'm more worthy as a stage manager, and in others, I might be more worthy as a carpenter, and in others, I'm better as a props person. But yeah, I prefer building things because we all have an ego and we all like to have a reward. And it's something very satisfying when you see a stage standing there and 4 hours later, you close the last door of the truck. It's my favorite day in the week. Loadout day. I can sing a whole day songs about it. I just love that energy and the speed that you have, like the last song and the confetti or whatever your finale is, and the stage looks so pretty, and you go in the same room just 3 hours later and it's gone. It's just gone. Yeah, I love that about the carpentry job, and that's something, or that's an emotion or a feeling that I didn't find in stage management.
Yeah, it's I think the fact that you get physically involved with everything you're doing, and it's more, you engage. So when you feel the stage there up on, when you feel everything's out of the space of the venue, there's this energy that translates to your body, I guess, somehow.
And the other thing, I'm still me. I need to move. Like whenever I had a flat, which was not very often in my life, there would never ever have been chairs in my flat. I don't like sitting. Like sitting is not something that I like. I don't like staring at computers for too long. Like I really need to move and I need to have action. I'm very, I don't know, I'm very unconcentrated if I need to work longer than 2 or 3 weeks in an office. And yeah, it's just, I just don't like sitting around. It's not that, no, I need to have something to do. I love movement. I love physical work. I really like that. Absolutely. And that's also part of why props and carpentry is usually a bit more in my favor than stage management. And a lot of stuff or a lot of events that I did were outside in the last years, or a lot of things that I did were outdoors. So it's amazing. You see sun coming up. Yeah, that half a year expo basically. Every morning, see every morning, the sun coming up. It's your enemy and your friend at the same time when you're working night shift. Um, and it's just more me, and I kind of learned that I can deliver the best event or the best show when I am in a work environment that lets me, where I can be myself without hiding anything. So yes, I do work events with suit. Is it me? No. Could I do it for a year in a row? You'll see me in flip-flops and leggings like everywhere else. And if you let me work like that in your production, I'm like, for sure happy. So
I love
I think it's a lot about that.
I love the way you've found how to adapt to the production, but also find the production that's flexible enough or that fits your personal needs and that you know them enough to be able to either request them or be able to see an offer and say, I think this is a good fit, this is not a good fit.
Yeah, I hope it stays like that. It's quite had been quite a path, like a learning path. But yeah, again, I'm very happy about that.
So it kind of leads me to my next question. Would it be, I don't know if it totally applies to you, but if you could change one thing about your job or the industry, what would you change? Because I feel like you change it coming from you, not so much expecting the industry to change, but questions out there.
Well, we talked a lot about emotions, feelings, and how different things are. What I think, and that might be also strongly influenced by being in the Middle East. I think the event industry in general does not do a good job in being sustainable. So we're having all those discussions going on about which window we put in our house to have to need less heater. How do we save electricity? How do we get rid of plastic? And then you go on an event. You build huge installations for exactly 24 hours, and then they all go to trash. So I don't know how to change it. I'm still working on myself, and that's like something where I'm a little bit mad at myself because I'm trying to always have my water bottle and I'm trying to always have my coffee mug, but I'm also very addicted to coffee. So if I don't have my coffee mug, I still need to buy a coffee, which is then ending up being a paper cup, which shouldn't be. So and the same with water bottles here in the Middle East. Like you get those little tiny water bottles. So the amount of waste that you create, that I create just every day, is massive. And I wish that all the R&D and everything that that society in general evolved in the last year when it comes to sustainability and taking care of nature. I wish we would have that focus in events as well. But I feel we are more focusing on getting technically better and more efficient than to put other things as well in consideration. Because, being green or trying to be sustainable is at the moment, I think, having a more expensive event.
Yeah. I think it's valid not only for events, but theaters the same, circus the same, musicals.
Yeah, all pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's where we as an entertainment, did a pretty bad job in the last years. And again, I'm not throwing the stone, like I'm not perfect. The amount of plastic bottles that I'm drinking is incredible. But still, I hope we're getting better in that somehow. Or we can implement different practices. Yeah, that'll be great.
Agreed. Who would you like to listen on the podcast, or who you recommend as a guest?
Well, the memories that you have are always from the projects that you did in the closer past or nearer past. And I was lucky enough to tour with Helene Fischer. And whoever listens to that podcast, I have a funny German accent, if you didn't recognize by now. And she is an absolute stunning German singer. I hadn't been a fan before I went with her on tour. And I think for me, she is one of the kindest and hard working principals I've ever worked with. The perfection that she delivered in every show, and also the kindness that she had behind backstage. She knew each of us by name. She would talk to each of us, and we were all for her tour family. Like, that was stunning. And we had in the band 2 amazing musicians. Like, they were all amazing musicians, but there's a pianist who toured with, I think, every German band that you can imagine, and a guitarist, the lead guitarist, who has her own music and is touring either in the US or in Germany. And I'd love to hear their stories. And purely out of the reason, similar why you would say, like, I hear an orchestra is like something in entertainment. We stay in our groups, no? We're like the cool black guys with working backstage, or we're the fancy people that are on stage with glittery costumes. And then you might have a sound. I think sound is always a little bit in the middle, in between. But you kind of stay in your group, like musicians, technicians, artists. What we did in the tour, we broke that bridge a little bit. So everyone knew everyone. It was a very, very nice. We were very close. Every one of us was very close. There was not one person that wouldn't get along with others, even though we were like all super different. But yeah, I would love to hear more a musician. I would like put names for musicians in.
Well, if you have any suggestions, send them my way and we'll reach out.
I will do. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, Dankeschön. Been great.
Danke dir. Thank you for your time. I see you when I see you.
Theater at Life is a global media site for entertainment. Memberships start at only $38 per year. You can have unlimited access to our daily published articles, including entertainment news and the writings of active industry professionals, ensuring that you are always up to date on the global happenings in the world of entertainment. Become a part of the international entertainment community and join us now at www.theaterartlife.com.